And we are back with Just Temple. We had the pleasure of talking a little bit about her inspiration and motivation behind creating her company and also the STEM Girl Swag and the STEM Swag box. I mean, I'm just so pumped up to keep going and learn a little bit more about your career pathways. That's really what I want to take the time in doing in this section. So, Temple, you're on your way to becoming an astrophysicist. Tell us a little bit about what an astrophysicist does.
So, astrophysicist is just a astronomer that involves physics into what they do. So, they're all about learning ways to help NASA and learning ways to help humans learn more about outer space from a physics point of view and from an astronomer's point of view, just all mixed in together. And I started off wanting to be an astronomer, but then I was like, I like physics too. So, why can't we incorporate it into what I want to do?
So, what subjects are you learning in school that relate to a career as an astrophysicist? And if you're not currently focused on some of those particular subject areas, tell us a little bit about what you know about the subjects that you will probably take in high school and in college.
So, right now I am in chemistry and physics. Eighth grade chemistry and physics right now, and I'm also in honors geometry, which is crazy as an eighth grader because that's 2 years ahead of where I am. But I do honors geometry and I do physics and chemistry. So all of those are, of course, incorporated. As I said, the physics part is what an astrophysicist is, just mixed in with astronomy. It's like they had a little baby together. But I do chemistry too, and everything's always about experimenting and seeing what can I put in with something else that can help us survive out in outer space. And then geometry, I'm learning my theorems. I'm learning what I need to do to actually figure out an unknown. Geometry is a little hard. It was a little hard to get used to, but I'm getting there. So just those three subjects are really what's at the base of everything that you need to know to become a scientist, no matter what field you want to go into. So all those are really out helping with what I want to do. And then of course I do my research outside of school. I love researching no matter what it is. I'm a history buff. I love trivia. I know everything that's happening in the media right now. You can ask me any of those. But I do my research. I watch different astrophysicists. I watch NASA. I watch when they send people to the moon. There was actually Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk, he was sending people to the ISS a couple of days ago. So I ran down from doing my geometry homework to come watch it with my dad. And it's super cool because you don't get to see a lot of late night aircraft and rockets. So that was really cool because it's like once every few years.
So the perks about virtual learning, right? You get to pause what you're doing and run down and not miss such an awesome experience. Wow,
Yeah.
that's so awesome. So tell me a little bit about how did you hear about the career?
So Neil deGrasse Tyson was always one of my first scientists that I looked up to, mostly because it was one of the he's one of the main Black scientists that's out. So I thought, hey, there's somebody that has my skin tone who's doing something that I like so much. So I got in it from there. But also, I have a love for astrology, which is zodiac signs, and learning how outer space affects us personally and our personality and who we are. So I have a love for astrology, and that turned into a love for astronomy, which turned into a love for astrophysics. And then another person is Jedidah Eisler. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name correctly, but she is one of the first African American women in astrophysics. So as an African American woman, I was like, yeah, definitely. Let me go and see her journey. Let me see what she's all about.
Wow, that's awesome. And I think it ties into, the purpose behind what you're doing as well. By placing your face on that box, I mean, you're going to ultimately do the same thing and continue to inspire minorities and girls in going into whether it's astrophysics, becoming an astrophysicist. Say that three times
Tongue
fast.
twisters.
Yes. And my tongue is literally on fire from saying that word. But ultimately, whether you inspire them in going into the career pathway that you've chosen or just any STEM career pathway, that is awesome. Um, so we talked about, being able to stay up to date with what NASA is doing, what Tesla is doing, staying informed within your industry. Outside of school, what other activities? And actually, this may be a two-part question because school is so different right now with this pandemic. So maybe what you were doing before could be a little bit different now. But tell us a little bit about, post pandemic and currently what you're doing right now, some activities and STEM resources that you're involved in, either inside or outside the school.
Yeah. So definitely schooling is hard. I'm not really in any clubs because I did change schools over the summer during the pandemic. So I don't really know anybody there. I'm doing online too. So I don't really know anybody. But of course, I love to stay up to date and learn what's happening in the media, as I said. So I'm really focused on, hey, what's the new SpaceX event, or what's the new Apple event, or what's happening somewhere in California, or what's happening up in space? What meteor shower can I see tonight? Is really what I'm focusing on. And then I have a lot of resources because we are in the age of technology, and I am a Gen Zer. So we grew up in the age of technology and we know everything there is to know. So I know social media and I know how to navigate to find what I need to find something I'm interested in. So as I said, I love to tune in to Discovery Channel, NASA Channel to see what's happening. I become a big fan of CNN during quarantine. As I said, I'm from Atlanta too, so CNN is a big part of our culture here. So that's kind of, hey, let me get into something that I'm native to, but also is doing so much for the world. So Science Channel, History Channel, everything like that. I'm just really focused and seeing what in the past has led us to where we are right now. One of my favorite shows that I watch with my family all the time is Ancient Aliens on History Channel. Learn about, hey, is there extraterrestrial life and have they been here before, and what is so odd about what we see today that we can't really put together. So I just spend a lot of my time looking at stuff like that and researching and reading articles about the biggest people in technology like Elon Musk right now and seeing what he's up to and what are different things that he's planning for the foreseeable future.
And that's important. You have to stay up to date with what's happening because that is what is changing the course of so many careers, including yours, including the pathway that you want to go in. Technology is changing so quickly that, even that's affecting steps that you would take in your career pathway. So that's great. I'm so encouraged and impressed by you for staying up to date on all of these things on top of such a heavy load of coursework. My gosh. But I mean, you have to love it. Like, you have to have a passion for it. You have to be motivated, to do the things that you're doing. And that's why you're in the position that you're in because you're all of those things and more.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the what makes me want to get out of my bed and go to my dining room and assemble a box. And I think that really experience happened before quarantine when my boxes first came out. I launched a GoFundMe to raise over $5,000 to donate the boxes to kids in my community who may not have access to science in their own homes. So I went to a school that was down the street from my house and I donated boxes. And it was just one of the most heartfelt things I ever done. It's probably going to stay with me when I go further ahead and when I become more big and popular, because it was just like, hey, these are the first people I got to donate my boxes to and deliver them and give them to the kids that were like in first or second grade and see smiles on their face and hug them. And then there was this one girl that was like, she kind of looked like me, she acted like me. My parents were like, she has your charisma and everything, so it's just cool to give her a hug and take a picture with her.
Don't you miss that when you're so excited and passionate about what you're doing and you just want to embrace the person and you just want to love on them and, encourage them in that in person interaction? My goodness, I cannot wait to get there. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do when we get back into that space. I'm from Atlanta and I'll definitely be attending some of your events soon to come. So let me know and I will be
I
there.
will, I got you.
Let's wrap this section up. You've given us so many great resources, tools, and tips, right? Let's talk about what's the advice that you give regularly to middle and high school students who are also interested in pursuing STEM careers?
So, I was talking to a panel today, of course, and we were talking about entrepreneurship. And one thing I always like to share, no matter what you're doing, is to surround yourself with positivity, because that's what we need right now. And we need it all the times in our environment, because negativity can bring you down so far and positivity can bring you up. So that's really what I like to say. Surround yourself with the people that are good for you, that push you, but don't push you too hard to the point where you kind of don't want them anymore.
That's a good point because we can sometimes get pushed over the edge, and then what you're passionate about isn't so much something that gets you awake in the morning and wants to keep you in bed. Wow, Temple, that's such great advice. We sat here for the second section and we discussed ways in which a student can become an astrophysicist. And also a little bit about what an astrophysicist does. And Temple gave us a great, very clear sort of definition, which is astrophysicists help and learn ways to help humans learn about outer space from a physics perspective. I'm telling you, my S's and my C's and my P's are all over the place today. And also some of the courses you're taking: geometry, chemistry, physics. My goodness, she's in eighth grade. She's already about 2 to 3 years ahead of herself. That's why, guys, we're wrapping up this second section pretty early. And then also she heard about this career. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is a black scientist that inspired her, and then also just her love for astrology. And also, one thing that Temple likes to do and does on a regular basis, and this is something I really think I want our youth listeners to take away, is that she stays up to date with what is happening in the world, with the media. She's up on the most current events. She knows what's happening in her surroundings, as well as worldwide. And she watches shows. She watches NASA, CNN, and also this Discover Channel. And finally, some great advice. She just says, surround yourself with positivity, with people who will push you, but not too much, because you still want to remain motivated and centered and focused in your passions and your purpose. Temple, thank you so much. We're going to wrap this section up, but we'll be right back.